Quentin Tarantino is well known for taking inspiration from many fine Asian filmmakers, and Japan's Takeshi Kitano is definitely on his list. But Kitano isn't just a director, he's also an actor, screenwriter, comedian, talk show host, pretty much making him Japan's answer to Eddie Maguire. He's best known here for his film Hana-bi, and his new one Zatoichi, the Blind Swordsman, opens next week. And the bloodletting there apparently makes Tarantino's Kill Bill 1 look like a Band-Aid commercial. So stand by for everything you need to know about Takeshi Kitano arriving on your television set right about now.
Japan is a culture of extremes, and no Japanese artist travels that spectrum more freely than Takeshi Kitano. Best known in Australia as a filmmaker, Takeshi is much more than that. He's a musician, novelist, painter, poet, comedian, and Japan's most famous television personality. But he didn't start out this way. His career in entertainment began when he was thrown out of engineering school and went to work as a lift boy in a strip club. He proved a natural comedian, and with a friend formed the stand-up duo The Two Beats, assuming the stage name Beat Takeshi. In 1974, they made the transition to TV, rapidly developing a huge fan base. Cinema followed, initially with small comedic parts, but it was only a matter of time before another door would open. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence was a haunting World War II prison film, and Takeshi turned in a layered performance as the brutal Sergeant Hara. Other roles followed, and in 1989 he was cast as the lead in Violent Cop. Japan's then most successful filmmaker, Kinji Fukasaku, was to direct, but he refused to work around Takeshi's TV commitments and quit the project. Takeshi had no directing experience, but from the outset had a very clear vision, which was based on one of the most disturbing images to come out of the Vietnam War. Static frames and sudden casual violence delivered one of the bleakest finales ever to grace an action film. Violent Cop was not a success in Japan, but it went down better in the West, where it was reminiscent of other art house fare like Jean-Pierre Melville's atmospherically minimalist Le Samurai. Japan may have dismissed his film, but television was a whole other matter. Takeshi was the country's most popular celebrity for 5 years running, with as many as 7 shows a week, like the hilarious bone-crunching precursor to Jackass, Takeshi's Castle. During this time, he wrote and directed 4 more films, but these too failed to set the Japanese box office alight. Then, on the night of August the 2nd, 1994, Takeshi got very drunk. He came to 10 days later in hospital, with skull fractures, a smashed jaw, and nerve damage that left the right side of his face temporarily paralysed. After 4 months in hospital, he went on to make his most naturalistic film to date, Kids Return. Finally, he had a hit in Japan. In '95, he appeared in his first Hollywood film, Robert Longo's horrible butchering of William Gibson's sci-fi story, Johnny Mnemonic. Flanked by such quantum leaps as Keanu Reeves playing a man with enhanced mental capacities, and Henry Rollins as a brain surgeon, Kitano was one of the few who escaped with his dignity intact. Despite all this, Kitano was still largely a cult figure in the West. But with his next film, all that would change. Hana-bi was a major art house success, introducing Takeshi to a whole new audience. Though punctuated by scenes of stark brutality, it is at heart a nostalgic look at a traditional Japanese ideal of duty, as fulfilled by an ex-cop to his terminally ill wife, and as such is Takeshi's most romantic film. Ridicule doesn't faze him, failure doesn't daunt him, and accidents don't kill him. Driven by an insatiable desire to create and learn, he's given up drink and golf to dedicate more time to work, and has made 4 more movies since Hana-bi: Kikujiro, Brother, dolls, and now the sword and splatterfest, Zatoichi. The one thing he probably doesn't do much of is sleep.
George, I was thinking, the thing that makes Kitano really cool and Tarantino and all those guys is the violence. So why don't we
Amanda,
try...
I'm one step ahead of you. I've already worked out a way of bumping up the violence content of Mondo Thingo.
Exactly what I was thinking. So what have you got in mind?
Oh, well, obviously we can't do a stomach-churning ballet of blood and dismemberment sort of thing.
We can't?
No, not really. So what I thought was you could get a really nasty paper cut off a script.
Paper cuts really hurt. How about I'll just do this next intro with an undercurrent of menace?
Sure.